Называется индийский пляж. This is my video update from St. Petersburg, Russia on this August 5th, Saturday midday. Let's talk about some news. And right now I am at the Gazprom Arena where the football club Zenit plays. There you can see the big flag of the football team Zenit. And there's the Gazprom Arena right there. And we're gonna walk our way over there, and we're gonna try to cross the bridge and get to the Lakhta Center, which is, I believe it's Gazprom's headquarters. It's also the 16th tallest building in the world and the tallest building in Europe, as well as the tallest building in Russia. And there it is right there, the Lakhta Center. You can see the giant flags right there in the background. And we'll walk our way over to the boardwalk. And there's a bunch of music playing over there, so as I walk by the music, I'm gonna probably have to turn down the volume. But we have a lot of news to discuss. And yesterday we had another drone strike in the Black Sea, and this drone strike hit a Russian registered oil tanker. At least those are the reports that we're getting. There hasn't been an official statement as to the name of the oil tanker that was hit, but the reports are that it was a Russian registered oil tanker called the SIG, the SIG, and the reports claim that this oil tanker was moving oil to Syria. So the drone strike, most definitely from Ukraine, with the help and the backing of the collective West, most likely the US and the UK. The oil tanker is obviously hitting the oil tanker with drones is obviously a way of striking out at Russia in the Black Sea, because we've been seeing the drone strike strategy that Ukraine is talking about. We've been seeing it put into action in Moscow as well as in the Black Sea. And so we had a drone strike on a Russian ship yesterday in the Black Sea, and 24 hours later, we have a drone strike that hit a Russian registered oil tanker. So that's the drone attack strategy that is unfolding right now. And another interesting part to this drone strike on a tanker is that it was a tanker that was meant for Syria. And so there's a lot of activity in Syria, a lot of fighting going on between Russia, Iran, and of course the Syrian forces and the United States, those 3,000 troops that are occupying the northeastern part of Syria, illegally occupying the northeastern part of Syria and stealing Syria's resources. And we have seen an uptick in fighting between Syria as well as Iran and Russia and those US forces that are occupying the northeast of the country. And I imagine that this drone strike against this Russian registered oil tanker that had some sort of involvement with Syria, moving oil to Syria, was was some kind of a message or a response to the fighting that is taking place in Syria at the moment. So dangerous times we live in. Dangerous times indeed. A lot of different areas where something could happen, something could get triggered to lead to a wider escalation and a wider war. Ukraine, Syria, Taiwan, Niger, Africa. And I thought the Biden White House was supposed to bring peace and calm to the international order. Isn't that what they told us when Biden became president? The foreign policy adults are back in the White House, they said. The dangers and risks of conflict, war, nuclear war, it's over. Don't need to worry about it because Biden's in charge. Oh boy. So let's see. What else should we discuss as we walk over to the bridge? I think I need to walk that way. Somehow I need to go around and up over the bridge over there. So NBC News, they ran an article, and they asked the question, a very deep philosophical question. Is the big counteroffensive failing? That's what NBC asked yesterday in an article. Is the big counteroffensive, is it failing? Let me read you what NBC said here. Is Ukraine's counteroffensive failing? Kiev and its supporters worry about losing control of the narrative. Losing control of the narrative. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, you're about 3 months into this now. And the big counteroffensive that was supposed to take 5 days to get to the Sea of Azov has taken 3 months to get to nowhere. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think, NBC News? Is the counteroffensive failing? Yeah. I'd say it's not failing. I'd say it has failed. The question now is, how do you, if you're the United States and the Biden White House, how do you spin the narrative so that you can avoid saying that your big counteroffensive that was supposed to deliver the capitulation of the Putin government, how do you spin it so that you can avoid admitting failure? I think that's the big question. I'm sure the script writers in DC and LA, and London, they'll figure out a way to spin the narrative so that they can avoid using the word failure. Stalemate. That's the word. It's a stalemate now. Until it stops becoming a stalemate and Russia goes on the offensive. Then they're going to say it's a tactical retreat or something like that. It's a strategic tactical withdraw from the front lines to better defensive lines. That's what they're going to say when the Russians start to advance, if the Russians start to advance. So that's the article from NBC News. And we have an article from Politico. And I've got to find a way to make it around. I don't think I'm going the right way. See, I need to get to that bridge. Maybe I am going the right way. Let's see. So Politico, they ran an article, and they talked about the F16 program, training the Ukraine pilots for the F16s that are going to be delivered to Ukraine. When was it? September, October? Isn't that what they told us? Well, Politico is saying that pilot training is not going so well. And of the 20 pilots, 20 pilots that were slated to be trained, 8 of them are actually English proficient enough to be trained to fly the F-16s. Or no, wait, of the 28 pilots that were slated to be trained, 8 of those can actually go ahead with the training because they speak some English, or they speak English to a level where they can be trained. And there's another 20 pilots who they thought they were going to train them, and now they can't because the English language is a barrier, and so they can't train them to fly the F-16s. And so what they're going to do is that they're going to take these 20 pilots, they're going to teach them English, and then once they learn English, they'll get them on the F-16 program. And the 8 pilots that speak English that they're going to start training, Politico says that there hasn't even been like a start date announced for the actual training of the 8 pilots. 8. This is the plan, everybody. 8 pilots are going to be trained sometime in September, October. Who knows when they'll actually be ready to fly the F-16s. And these 8 pilots are going to take on the Russian Air Force. And then they have another 20 pilots who they have to first teach English to, and then they're going to train them on the F-16. Who knows when that will be. Oh man, I need to get up there. People in St. Petersburg, help me out. Where do I go? How do I get up there? So yeah, this F-16 plan is going really, really well. Well done, NATO. Okay. Another plan that is doomed to fail, or is already failing, and that is the Jeddah Peace Summit, the Saudi, US, Ukraine Peace Summit that is taking place in Jeddah. I believe today it's happening, and the New York Times, they ran an article on this peace summit, and they said this is going to be a big diplomatic push by Ukraine in order to weaken Russia. That is the stated goal of this peace summit. Yeah, I went the wrong way. I got to figure out how to get around. Let's walk back. Let's walk back and see if we can make it over. I imagine I probably have to go all the way around there. Alex. So, the New York Times, their article reads, Ukraine starts new diplomatic push to weaken Russia. Some 40 countries that have largely remained on the sidelines of the war were invited to talks this weekend in Saudi Arabia as Ukraine redoubles international efforts to isolate Moscow. That's the plan. Drone strikes and a diplomatic attack against Russia. A drone attack and a diplomacy attack. And the New York Times, they say that they're going to depend on Zelensky's charm to move the neutral countries, or the countries that are still dealing with Russia, to move them away from their favorable stance towards Russia and on to the side of Ukraine and the collective West. And of course, helping Zelensky to achieve this goal is going to be the formidable diplomatic team of Sullivan, Blinken, and Nuland. I can't see how this diplomatic attack can fail with such an all-star lineup. Boy. In the New York Times, actually this article, the New York Times does say that it's going to be pretty difficult to convince these global South countries, these non-aligned countries in this conflict, to move away from Russia, because the New York Times says that Ukraine really doesn't have much to offer. It can't really make a good case for why these countries should stop trading with Russia, doing business with Russia, having good relations with Russia, change their neutral alignment. Ukraine can't really make a compelling case. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that Ukraine is losing the conflict. So how do you go to a country like Brazil or Mexico? Actually, Brazil and Mexico said they're not even going to show up. How do you go to a country like, let's say, India? I think India has been invited to this conference. Let's just say India. How do you go to a country like India and say, we would like you to forget about the decades and decades of good relations with Russia, throw all of that away and join us to try and destroy Russia? Because when you join us, you're joining the losing side. I mean, that's pretty much the argument. How do you pull that one off? Now, if the Ukraine military was winning, then you can go to these global South countries, these non-aligned nations, and you could tell them, look, the Russian military is about to be defeated. They're losing this conflict. You better get off the sinking ship and come on board with us. But they can't make that case. So this conference in Jeddah is doomed to fail. If it hasn't failed already, given the fact that Mexico and Brazil, they said they're not going to show up to this event because Russia has not been invited, and so what's the point of going to an event that talks about the conflict in Ukraine without having Russia present? I have read reports that China, though it will not send its leadership to this conference, I have read reports that China has kind of changed its position a bit, and it will send a delegation to this summit. Though I don't know what level of a delegation we're talking about here, but those are the reports that I have read this morning. So I think I know which way I need to go, so we can get to the bridge and make it to the other side. So we've, let's see, we've covered Jeddah summit. We've covered the F16 program. How about we discuss the news from a World Economics report, which took data and information from the World Bank and the IMF, and it has come out with its list of the top economies of the world. And Russia's economy is in tatters, everyone, because the Russian economy is now the fifth largest economy in the world and the largest economy in Europe. Sanctions are really, really working. So that was huge news. And this is not me saying that Russia's economy is the fifth largest economy in the world. This is the World Bank and the IMF. Russia's economy is actually now bigger than Germany's economy. The top countries are China, the United States, India, Japan, Russia, Germany, Indonesia, Brazil, France, and the UK. Tatters, I tell you. They're using chips from washing machines to power up their fighter jets. It's in such tatters that their economy is now larger than Germany's. Well done, Ursula. Well done. Can we get a 12th sanctions package or a 13th sanctions package? maybe if the collective West continues to sanction Russia some more, maybe Russia's economy will be like the number 3 or the number 2 largest economy in the world. Just keep on sanctioning it to the top. Sanction Russia's economy till it gets to the top. Meanwhile, Germany's economy is slipping. I don't know how the UK is at number 10, but all right, UK's economy, I'm positive, will drop out of the top 10 very soon. And this is more confirmation that the economic war, which is, the economic war is the big one, right? The collective West has absolutely lost the economic war. I think that's conclusive. So that was huge news. Actually, I think that Russia's finance ministry, its economic ministry, said that the growth for 2023 will actually exceed 2%. So like a week ago, the IMF was saying that Russia's growth was going to be something like 1.5%. And then Putin said that the growth was going to be something like 2%. And now it's being revised upwards again to exceed 2%. Tatters! It's in tatters, I tell you! Yeah, I'm never going to let Ursula forget that one. Nor should we, because she destroyed Europe's economy and strengthened Russia's economy and obliterated Ukraine's economy to the point where Ukraine doesn't really even have an economy. Just like a failure from the European Union and the collective West all around, an all-around failure. The Russian Ministry of Defense, they actually put out some more casualty numbers yesterday. And they claim that in June and July, the Ukraine losses exceeded 43,000. Now, I imagine that this is KIAs as well as casualties, injuries, which mean that soldiers are just unable to continue to fight. So I don't think this is 43,000 KIA. I think this is everything, all casualties. But still, 43,000, that is huge. And the numbers that we got before the big counteroffensive was that NATO had trained 60,000, say 63,000 or 68,000 troops for the big counteroffensive, and that in total they had something like 150,000 troops for the big counteroffensive. That includes troops that were going to be committed to the front lines as well as troops in reserve. So let's just say a total of 150,000. And in June and July, the losses have been 43,000 according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. That is huge. I honestly don't know how they can continue on this path, the Ukraine military. So there was a CNN poll, and I think this will be my last story before we get to our couple of clown worlds. And so there was a CNN poll which said that 48% of Americans surveyed said that the US should do more to help Ukraine in the conflict with Russia. 48% of Americans. The poll also says that 51% of Americans surveyed believe that the US has done enough to help Kiev. Just checking on time. I'm just seeing how we're doing on time. We're doing all right. So that was the poll from CNN. 48% of Americans, according to CNN, want the US to do more. And 51% say the US has done enough. The poll actually also said that 17% of Americans surveyed want to see boots on the ground. 17% of Americans surveyed want to see boots on the ground in Ukraine. So the Newsweek poll from a couple of days ago, they said that 31 or 33% of Americans want US boots on the ground in Ukraine. And now CNN puts that number at 17%. But the Newsweek poll, actually, the age groups that they surveyed was from, started at, or the higher point of the age group surveyed was 2012. In other words, they surveyed people up to date of birth being 2012, which means that when Newsweek asked, do you want to see boots on the ground? They may have asked people who were 12 or 13 years old or 14 years old, which is kind of odd, I have to say. But I tend to believe, at least as far as surveys for boots on the ground go, I tend to believe this CNN poll more than I believe the Newsweek poll. And still, 17% is, I don't know, is it a lot? Sounds like a lot. But I'm sure the 17% that said, yeah, let's get boots on the ground were probably like clueless as to what's really going on, or the risks or the dangers of what that would mean to have American boots in Ukraine fighting the Russians. I imagine that 17% would like American boots on the ground everywhere, you know? Boots on the ground all over the world. So, I don't know, maybe that's not enough. Maybe that's not a lot, 17%. So there's like a beach over here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I think this is an aquarium, actually. The dome structure. I believe it's an aquarium. I think there's like a kids park over there. There's just a nice park over there. Here's the beach. So, should we get to our clown world? I think we can do a couple of clown worlds and wrap this video up, since we made it to the other side. As the Red Hot Chili Peppers song goes, we made it to the other side. Let's see. Security guarantees. That'll be the clown world. We have a list of countries that have given their okay to provide security guarantees to the Zelensky regime. And those countries are let me pull up the list here. 12 countries that have so far expressed their willingness to sign agreements on security guarantees with Kiev. Drum roll, please. The 12 countries that have so far said, yes, we will protect Zelensky are Belgium, Denmark, Ireland, Iceland, Spain, Norway, Netherlands, Portugal, Romania, Finland, Czech Republic, and Sweden. Those are the countries that are going to provide security guarantees to Zelensky. All right. There you have it. Zelensky's going to be sleeping a lot better at night knowing that these 12 countries, they've got his back. Oh, boy. So, the Russians, they actually captured a Swedish, I think it was a Swedish tank. Let me pull up the story here. Since we mentioned Sweden as providing security guarantees, Russian military unimpressed by captured Swedish armor. the Russian military has expressed skepticism over the capabilities of a Swedish CV-90 tracked armored vehicle captured by soldiers during the conflict with Ukraine. So let's do this. Let's cross over and get closer to the Lachta Center. I think I should get there by 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes and I think we'll get close up to the tallest building in Europe. So as we're walking to the Lachta Center, let me read you what the Russians thought of the Swedish CV-90 tracked armored vehicle. The dismissive comments can be heard in a video which the Defense Ministry released on Friday to report a visit by Ministry Chief Sergei Shoigu to a command post involved in the Ukrainian operation. Commander Andrei Mordvichev showed the trophy to the visiting official. Mordvichev noted that the Swedish-made vehicle, which has been in service since 1993, resembles a tank. However, the one captured by the Russian troops was defeated by a simple and cheap RPG-7, a shoulder-fired, rocket-propelled grenade launcher that has been in use since the 1960s. Quote, the vehicle was stopped with the tool of our grandfathers, the commander said. So let's do one more Clown World, and I think we'll wrap this video up on a hot day in St. Petersburg here. So interesting seeing people like in St. Petersburg dressed up to go to the beach. Me coming from Cyprus. Pretty cool. All right. We're on our way. Okay, final Clown World. And we'll finish up this video. How are we doing on time? We're doing all right. Laid back video today. It's Saturday. From the mirror.co.uk. Ukraine politician's wife who survived assassination poses for Playboy in metal bikini. Irina Bilotserkovets, a model and TV presenter, has appeared on the cover of Playboy magazine wearing an eye patch and a metal bikini after surviving an attempt on her life. Can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. Oh boy. So that's the video, everyone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little close up. I'm going to sign out. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, and Rockfin. And go to the Duran shop. Use the code GOODDAY Take care.